Okay, so get ready, everybody, because we are diving deep into Insidious The Last Key.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, we want to go past the jump scares in this one, right?
Yeah.
Like really unpack the characters and the themes and all that.
Yeah.
Really what makes this part of the Insidious universe so interesting. And, you know, we know a lot of you out there are fascinated by this film because it explores Elise Rainier's past.
Yeah, and what a past it is.
Right.
You're right. This film isn't just a sequel. It's
Yeah.
a prequel on a sequel.
Oh.
We see Elise before the events of the first Insidious film, back when she was a child, and grappling with her abilities as a child.
Wow.
And at the same time, moving the overall story of the series forward.
I see.
So we get to actually witness the moment that cements her connection to the supernatural.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
I have to admit, I love when a horror movie digs into a character's backstory like this,
Yeah.
especially, you know, a psychic medium.
Absolutely.
And the source material mentions that her childhood home in Five Keys, New Mexico, is a place with its own dark history connected to this terrifying entity called Keyface.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills already. Can you tell me about this entity?
Keyface, even just the name, sends chills down my spine.
Right.
It's not your typical movie monster hiding under the bed.
Okay.
Okay, so picture this. Long skeletal fingers, cold and metallic to the touch.
Oh, God.
Almost like old rusty keys.
Okay.
But here's where it gets really unsettling.
Okay.
Those key-like fingers aren't just for show,
Oh, no.
right?
So how does it use them?
Yeah, how do they work?
So those fingers unlock more than just doors.
Okay.
Keyface uses them to pry into people's minds, to expose their deepest fears and vulnerabilities.
Oh my gosh.
They're a chilling visual representation of its ability to unlock those hidden chambers of our psyche.
Wow, so we're not just dealing with a haunted house, we're
Well-
dealing with a haunted mind.
Yes.
This Keyface entity seems deeply connected to Elise's past.
Deeply, in a way that's both tragic and terrifying.
Oh no.
Because, you see, Keyface is drawn to vulnerability. And what's more vulnerable than a child with a gift they don't fully understand?
Right.
Especially a child like Elise, who already feels different, ostracized.
Yeah.
And this vulnerability makes her a target, a keyhole for Keyface's influence.
That's awful.
It is.
And the source material mentions that her father, Gerald Rainier, played a significant role in this.
He did.
And it even mentions that he was a prison executioner,
Yeah,
which just adds another layer of creepiness to this whole story.
for sure.
It sounds like Elise's childhood was deeply affected by her father.
Yeah.
How does his profession, especially one so closely tied to death, play into the themes of the film?
Well, Gerald Rainier is a complex character.
Okay.
And you're right. His profession as an executioner places him in constant contact with death.
Right.
Which is interesting considering his daughter can communicate with spirits.
Yeah.
However, it's important to note that The Last Key goes beyond depicting Gerald as a stereotypical horror movie villain.
Okay.
You know, if you pay close attention to his interactions with Elise, you'll notice moments of genuine care and concern.
Okay, so there might be more to him than meets the eye. So it sounds like Elise is caught between this terrifying entity that's drawn to her abilities,
Yes.
a childhood home that's totally saturated in darkness,
Yeah,
and a father grappling with his own demons.
exactly. You're totally right.
Yeah.
You're picking up on those nuances.
Okay, good.
It's not just about the supernatural
Yes.
elements, right?
Yeah.
It's about what makes Elise's childhood so haunting.
Right.
Remember how you mentioned the house earlier?
Uh-huh.
And how it's almost a character itself?
Yeah, it's like a classic horror trope.
It is a classic horror trope.
Yeah.
But think about how, houses hold our most personal memories,
They do.
right? So that creaky floorboard that Elise is afraid of as a child
Right.
could represent the fragility she felt within her family.
Oh, wow, I see.
And that locked door in the basement, the one she's drawn to.
The one that leads to the further.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So that door symbolizes something too.
Okay, what does the door symbolize?
That door becomes like a symbol of Elise's suppressed abilities.
Oh, wow.
The part of herself she's afraid to unlock.
Right.
But of course we know
Yeah.
those repressed emotions and experiences always find a way to surface.
They always do.
Especially when a malevolent entity like Keyface is involved.
Especially right.
Oh, man. Speaking of Keyface,
Yeah.
we were talking about Elise's father, Gerald.
Right.
It sounded like you were about to ask something else.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering if there was anything more you wanted to say about how his character develops.
Oh, yeah. there's definitely more to uncover about Gerald.
Okay.
You know, he's a man who understands punishment.
Yeah.
He carries out the ultimate sentence, yet he struggles to comprehend the spiritual realm.
Wow.
The very thing his daughter is entangled with.
Right.
This clash between the tangible and the intangible weighs heavily on him.
I see.
There's this really interesting scene
Okay.
where he tells young Elise,
Yeah.
there are no such things as ghosts, but his voice wavers,
No.
betraying a flicker of fear behind his words.
So he doesn't totally believe it himself.
Exactly.
Oh, well.
So he's not just this cold, heartless executioner.
Yeah.
There's a fear there, maybe even a vulnerability that Keyface can exploit.
Oh, no.
And exploit it does.
Oh, no.
Because here's where the story takes a really disturbing turn.
Okay.
As Elisa investigates the haunting in the present day, she uncovers a horrifying truth.
What?
Her father's connection to death
Yeah.
wasn't confined to his profession.
Okay.
He inflicted it in other ways,
Oh.
fueled by Keyface's insidious influence.
Are we talking about what I think we're talking about?
We are.
Because that sounds really dark.
It is.
Even for Insidious.
Elise discovers that her father was imprisoning and torturing women
Oh, my God.
in a secret network of tunnels beneath the house.
Oh, God.
His actions driven by Keyface's manipulation.
Wow.
It's a lot.
So it's not just a haunted house.
Right.
It's like a real-world horror situation.
It is.
And those tunnels, it's like a physical manifestation of all those buried secrets.
Exactly.
All those whispers of unspeakable acts.
It's interesting because the film blends those real-world horrors
Yeah.
with the supernatural.
Oh.
And the tunnels become like a tangible representation of the darkness within Gerald.
Right.
The darkness that Keyface exploits and amplifies.
So where does that leave Elise?
Right.
She's dealing with her own traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
She's dealing with this terrifying presence of Keyface.
Right.
And now this horrific revelation about her father.
It's a lot.
It's like she's wading through layers of darkness.
Elise is forced to confront the full weight of her past.
Wow.
The guilt over opening the door to the father.
Yeah.
Further,
Yeah.
the realization that her father was both an abuser and a victim of Keyface's manipulation. Remember those keys we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The ones that unlock our deepest fears and traumas?
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of ways, Elise has to find a way to use those keys
Right.
to confront that darkness head on.
And she eventually does. Right. She does.
She wouldn't be the Elise that we know
Exactly.
from the other Insidious movies if she just crumbled under pressure.
You're right. Elise is a fighter.
Yeah,
But even fighters need help sometimes.
that's true.
And in The Last Key,
Yeah.
it's her niece Imogen who ends up playing a crucial role.
Right, Imogen.
Yes.
Because she inherited some of Elise's psychic ability.
Exactly.
They had that connection in the previous film, too.
They did.
So it's like a family affair, even in the fight against evil.
Exactly. And Imogen is able to enter the further
Wow.
and provide Elise with some much-needed assistance.
So they team up.
They do.
I love it.
There's actually this really powerful moment
Yeah.
where Imogen tells Elise, you don't have to face this alone.
Wow, that's so powerful.
It is
Family.
even when they're driving you crazy,
Right.
they can also be there for you in the fight against evil.
Exactly. And it speaks to the film's theme of family, not just as a source of trauma, but also as a source of strength
Right.
and resilience.
So what happens in the further? Right. How does she confront Keyface?
Well,
Do they like Ghostbuster it?
the climax of The Last Key
Yeah.
takes place within this really unsettling landscape of the further.
Okay.
Imagine a world
Okay.
shrouded in perpetual twilight,
Okay.
where the air is thick with dread,
Okay.
and the silence is broken only by the whispers of tormented souls.
That sounds awful.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
It's within this realm that Elise finally confronts Keyface.
Okay.
But it's not just about brute force,
Okay.
about banishing a spirit. This is where the film's exploration of trauma and healing really takes center stage.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more about that. So how does she win? What's the key, so to speak, to overcoming an entity like this?
Elise realizes that Keyface thrives on darkness,
Okay.
on preying on people's guilt and fear.
Right.
It's like a parasite feeding off of negative energy.
Oh, wow.
So to defeat it,
Yeah.
she has to confront her own trauma,
Right.
her own feelings of responsibility for what happened in the past, starting with that childhood choice to open the door to the fear.
So it's not your typical horror movie showdown then.
No.
It's more about self-acceptance and forgiveness
Yes.
than it is about fighting.
Precisely.
Okay.
The film really beautifully illustrates
Yeah.
that defeating our demons often requires more than just brute force. It requires confronting the root of what haunts us.
Right.
And sometimes that means forgiving ourselves for the choices we made,
Yeah.
especially as children when we didn't fully understand the consequences.
And in a way, doesn't she also have to confront the trauma that her father inflicted?
Yeah.
Not to excuse his actions,
Right.
but to understand how deeply Keyface's manipulation ran.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
There's this really poignant scene where Elise encounters the spirits of the women that her father imprisoned.
Oh, wow.
It's a chilling reminder
Yeah.
that these aren't just plot devices.
Right.
They're representations of real-world horror, of the lasting impact of trauma.
So facing those spirits, acknowledging their pain, that's part of her journey toward healing and ultimately defeating Keyface.
It's all connected. By confronting those spirits,
Yeah.
by acknowledging their pain,
Mm-hmm.
Elise breaks free from that cycle of guilt and shame that Keyface feeds on. It's a powerful testament to the idea that facing our demons,
Yeah.
even those indirectly connected to us,
Right.
is essential for growth and healing.
This whole episode's been a real roller coaster.
Yes.
Terrifying, heartbreaking, but ultimately hopeful.
Yeah.
So Keyface is defeated.
Right.
Elise confronts her past.
Yes.
What about that really terrifying imagery of the house?
Right.
What do you think viewers should take away from that?
Remember how we talked about those creaky floorboards
Yeah.
and that locked basement door?
Mm-hmm.
Think about your own metaphorical haunted house.
Okay.
What are the creaky floorboards in your life?
Right.
Those lingering anxieties or fears?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are the locked doors you've been afraid to open?
Oh, it's like those old ghost stories where the house isn't just haunted,
Yeah.
it reflects the darkness within its inhabitant.
Exactly.
Insidious. The Last Key takes that idea and turns it into this really powerful exploration of trauma and family and the possibility of redemption.
Yes.
It makes you think about those skeletons in your own closet, right?
Mhm.
And whether you're brave enough to turn on the light.
It's so true.
Well, this has been quite a journey.
It has.
I feel like I haven't just learned about The Last Key. I feel like I've unlocked a new way of thinking about horror as a genre.
That's the magic of stories like this.
It is.
They really stay with us.
They do.
And they urge us to ask these tough questions about ourselves and the world around us.
So if you're ready to face your own metaphorical Keyface and explore those hidden chambers of your past,
Yeah,
Insidious, The Last Key is waiting for you.
it is.
Just remember, sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create ourselves.
That's a good point.
Until next time, thanks for joining us in the third floor.